My name is Dr. Dominic Brandy. I am president and founder of Natural Insights into Cancer. And what we're going to talk about today is supplementation in people that are vegan or whole food plant-based. There was a really good book that I read years ago by Dr. John McDougall. It's called The Starch Solution, and he has a chapter in there called The Fat Vegan. And in that chapter, he describes an individual that's eating all these ultra processed foods all day, eating potato chips, corn chips, pretzels, Coke, beer, and just because they're avoiding meat and dairy, they think they're eating a healthy diet. Well, that's probably one of the unhealthiest diets you could possibly eat. So, number one, I want to encourage people that are avoiding meat and dairy to eat a whole food plant-based diet. You're going to be getting almost all of the nutrients that I'm going to be talking about today. So the nutrients that I am going to be talking about are basically vitamin B12, vitamin D3, EPA, DHA, iodine, zinc, and iron. So we're going to be going through each one of these. I do testing of all these different minerals, vitamins, heavy metals, amino acids. This is the Quest lab sheet that I give you. You go to Quest, and then they send me all the different values, and then we can adjust your supplements if you need them for good health. The first one I'm going to talk about is vitamin B12. And I think everyone knows that you get vitamin B12 primarily from animal products. You can get it from some plants. You can see this is a chart. I yellow highlight. These are areas you can get B12. But if you're eating vegan, you definitely need to be doing a B12 supplement. You really need it for the production of your red blood cells, DNA synthesis, protection of your neurological system. I recommend taking 200 micrograms daily or doing 2,000 micrograms once a week. I personally take this supplement I get on Amazon. Douglas Labs makes it. Has folate in it. It's called methyl B12 plus. I recommend taking that 3 to 4 times per week. You put it under the tongue. Anytime I check the levels on individuals that are doing that, they're always above normal, which is not a problem, but it definitely keeps their levels really in an excellent situation for great health. Next one I want to talk about is vitamin D. And not only do vegans tend to be low in vitamin D, but almost everyone is low in vitamin D. So this is a supplement I really recommend everyone to take. There was a recent study that was done where they checked every single person in a family practice, and 90% of the patients actually had vitamin D that was low. If you live up in the north, in the wintertime, your vitamin D is going to be very low because sunshine does stimulate the production of vitamin D from cholesterol in the skin. But if you, once again, just about everybody is low. Now, one of the things we found during the COVID crisis is that people that had low vitamin D levels had a higher incidence of COVID. And those that had higher levels had a much lower incidence. So it is critical to immune function. So it's really important to keep those vitamin D levels. I like to keep them about 80 to 100. Most labs give you a 20 to 40 nanogram per milliliter as a normal range, but I do think it's important to keep it up around 80 to 90. You should take about 2,000 international units at minimum per day. I always like to combine it with a K2 vitamin. This is the one that I recommend for my patients. It's vitamin D3/K2. Take one in the morning, one in the evening. The reason I like to always have K2 with it, D, as most of you know, is important for the incorporation of calcium and phosphorus into the bone. The K2 actually prevents the calcium and phosphorus from being incorporated into the blood vessels, which can create hardening the arteries, atherosclerosis, and a cardiovascular event. So I always like to combine the two. I also use this vitamin D3 liquid. I put it in my drinks, a couple cc's. And I really need to do that to keep my levels personally 80 to 100. A lot of my patients, I actually need to add this to their drinking water, or they can double up on that supplement that I just showed you with the K2. The next supplement I want to talk about is your omega-3 fatty acids. For those of you that aren't familiar with your essential fats, you basically have your omega-6, your omega-3. Omega-6 is primarily in a lot of your vegetable oils. Omega-3 is in a lot of your fish products. If you look at this chart, you can see where the higher omega-3 levels are. Now, if you notice, it's in a lot of plants, but it's in the form of what's called ALA, alpha-linoleic acid. The problem with that is it must be converted to EPA-DHA, and some people just don't convert it well. So I do recommend, for most vegans to really take some kind of an omega-3 supplement. I do a test through Quest where I check your ratio. The ratio of an average American is about 20 to 1, 6 to 3, and it really should be about 1.1 to 2.1. So sometimes you really have to take a lot of omega-3 supplement to be able to get that ratio in a proper range. Mine's 1.9 to 1, and it really, for me to do that, I need to take actually more than 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams of EPA-DHA per day, but this is what I recommend that you start with. I use this supplement. It is a fish oil supplement. I know some of you that are vegan don't like the idea of taking anything that's an animal product, but I will tell you that most of the algae oils are high in DHA and they're very low in EPA. And I really think you need to be high in both of those. This supplement gives you really high levels of both. It's purified. It doesn't have any heavy metals, and all the toxins have been eliminated. So I personally take 3 of these in the morning, 3 in the evening before I take my supplements. But that can all be monitored with these tests. Next thing we're talking about is iodine. A lot of individuals are iodine deficient, vegan or not vegan. So it is something that really should be checked. Vegans sometimes are lower because they are not eating seafood. I would say that's the main way that most people get it. If you look at this chart, I've highlighted in yellow all the different ways that you can get iodine. It's important to get your levels checked. I know when I first started eating whole food plant-based, my iodine levels was low. So I do supplement with it. And you really do need proper iodine for good functioning of your thyroid. I personally recommend taking 325 micrograms per day. I use this supplement, put 2 drops of nascent iodine in your drinking water. You can also get it through Kelp. That's another supplement you can get on Amazon. So throughout the day, I basically make a drink. It's purified water, 16 fluid ounces. Half of it I fill with this Suja green juice. Then I add a little bit of lemon lime juice, pomegranate juice. And then I do the vitamin D3 that I showed you, the iodine. And then I also add 0.75 cc's of mistletoe, which has some anti-cancer effects. Next thing we're going to talk about is zinc. If you are eating enough beans, whole grains, nuts and seeds, you're not going to have any problems with zinc. But some people don't. It's not a bad idea to get the levels checked. These are the different foods that have higher zinc levels. I recommend taking 25 milligrams per day. This is the supplement I recommend for my patients. It's zinc lozenges. You just chew it in the morning, and that will keep your zinc levels really within normal limits in the majority of patients. Final thing we're going to talk about is iron. This can get low sometimes in women that are menstruating that are vegan. So iron levels should be checked. There's 2 different types of iron. You have heme iron, which is in meat products, and that kind of iron is attached to the hemoglobin molecule. The other plant-based heme is not, and it's not absorbed quite as well as the heme iron. So if you're, once again, eating enough beans, nut seeds, and whole grains, you're definitely getting enough iron. But if you're not, it's not a bad idea to get it checked. I recommend taking about 18 milligrams per day. This is a supplement that I recommend. It's a plant-based iron. You get it on Amazon. You would just take it once per day. So hope you learned something. I do think it's important to keep track of these different vitamins and minerals. Hope you learned something, and have a great day.